Cool. So for this one, I want to talk about kind of the normal pin and tumbler locks. Like this is like the KW1 series, deadbolt. You'll see a lot of these on people's houses. It's either this or SC4 are the two most common ones in the US. And then there's also just regular keys that are also key to that same channel. So the locks, the different kind of keyways. But it's basically a bunch of pins, and you're lifting those pins up. So here's a bunch of different kinds of picks. For this one, doesn't really matter. We'll probably, I guess we can use this one for the demo. And so what you're going to use is you're going to use this pick to kind of lift up those pins to the right height. And then when you're doing that, you're also going to need a tension wrench. So there's some different size tension wrenches, and some of them are straight and some of them have this like extra turn in them. And the idea is to help you kind of get a feel for the tension. So you're going to put that in. This is called bottom of the keyway. You could also do top of the keyway. Depends just kind of what you want. The disadvantage with putting it in the bottom of the keyway is then we put our tool in there. We have less space between us and the pin. Whereas if it was at the top, then we'd have all that space in there, right? If you put your tool at the top and twisted it, you'd have a lot of space for your tools to go. So some people do top of the keyway, some people do bottom. Bottom of the keyway is easier as long as you've got enough space. And then for this particular lock, it turns out that there's like a cutaway I've dremeled out so you can actually see those pins. And so when you move, I'd recommend before even putting in a tension wrench, just kind of put your pick in and just kind of move those pins up and down and see what's going on there. And you'll notice with this lock also that the second pin, actually it's got a spool, and so it's got a spool shape, which is supposed to help make picking harder because it's indented. When you've got tension on here, it would kind of move into that thing and get caught, and you'd think you'd have a set, and that's called a false set. But this thing's been dremeled out a lot, so this lock's pretty straightforward. So one of the kind of problems a lot of people make is pushing way too hard. You really don't want to push that hard. You want to push hard enough that when you lift the pin to one of these 5 pins is going to be binding. The other 4 aren't. And so the one that's binding is when you push on here, it's binding, and that's why the thing is stuck. And you're going to take that pin and lift it up until it's just at the shear line. And then what's going to happen is it's going to move ever so slightly. And then when you take your tool away, it'll stay hung up there because of the torque you're putting on here. If you put way too much, you're just going to jam the pins and you're going to get stuff stuck. Let me just go ahead and kind of lift some of these pins to the right height to give you kind of a view of what you're trying to do here. Okay, there. And so now I just picked it, but so I think you can see that there's that's the height of those pins you're trying to get, and see how they're all exactly that height. And I've also put a little black marker here for you so you can see kind of the black line you're trying to get to and all those pins. And once they're all at the right height, then this just turns, right? Because they're all at the height. And then what'll happen is once we move it back, you can see now that those first couple pins fell way down. And again, the second pin in, so from this side, so 1, 2, if you look at it, you'll see it's kind of a shape like a spool. So anyway, that's kind of this one. This one, because of the dremeling and stuff, it's pretty loose, pretty easy to get. This is the exact same principle. You're trying to go in from the side that has the writing on it, lift these pins up. And again, I'd lift it all the way up to start with, and you'll see where where the two parts are below the spring. And then you're just trying to get them right to that exact shear line. Make sure you have your tension wrench in there so that the things stay when you get them. And for this one, I think the advice would be when it's perfect, it's like ever so slightly, it feels like it's slightly higher than the line you'd expect. That's, I guess, the key I can give you to how you pick this lock. I'll try to track down a key for it too, so you can put the key in to see what you're trying to do. I'll try to track down keys for both of these, actually. I think that'd be helpful. Cool. Good luck.